The boys cried, their tiny voices swallowed by the storm, but she didn't stop. Her heart pounded as she carried them out of the house. She walked quickly, her slippers splashing through muddy water, until she reached an uncompleted building at the edge of the street. She laid the babies down on the cold cement floor. Their cries echoed, piercing her ears. She covered them with the shawl and stepped back. For a moment, her chest tightened, and guilt clawed at her. "Am I really doing this?" she muttered. She walked back home quickly, forcing herself not to look back. While the storm raged, two young men hurried through the dark streets. They were known as Django and Bullet, small-time thugs who worked for a ritual gang. Their eyes caught the bundle of cloth inside the uncompleted building, and curiosity drew them closer. In the middle of this chaos lived Stephanie, a young woman everyone called City Babe. She was beautiful, tall, and bold, always dressed in the latest fashion. What kind of mother would dump and abandon her little babies, you may wonder? Well, stick around and find out. The city of Port Harcourt never slept. Its streets glowed with neon lights. Music poured from nightclubs and expensive cars lined the roads, honking impatiently as if the night itself was in a hurry. In the middle of this vibrant chaos lived Stephanie, a young woman everyone called City Babe. She was beautiful, tall, and bold, always dressed in the latest fashion, with her hair styled to perfection. Wherever she went, heads turned. But it wasn't just her beauty that drew attention. It was the way she lived. Stephanie loved the fast life. She was often spotted stepping out of flashy cars, dancing in high-end clubs, and showing off designer bags on social media. To her followers online, she was living the dream, champagne in hand, money raining on her, always with rich men by her side. But behind the glamorous pictures and fake smiles, Stephanie carried a secret she wished she could erase. She had two little boys, twin babies who reminded her of a mistake she didn't want to remember. They were the product of an affair with Desmond, a smooth-talking young man who called himself a businessman. In reality, Desmond was a cultist and drug dealer, moving through the city's underworld with lies and blood money. Stephanie hated the twins because they tied her down. To her, they were chains dragging her away from the life she wanted: parties, fame, and freedom. Whenever the babies cried, Stephanie grew angry. She would leave them unattended for hours, caring only when it suited her. Desmond, noticing her bitterness, would sometimes laugh and whisper into her ear, "Babe, you don't need these children. They're holding you back. If you really want to shine, you must get rid of them." The words sounded wicked, yet they echoed in Stephanie's mind like sweet poison. Each time she stared at her crying sons, the thought grew stronger. She began to imagine a life without them, her beauty free, her nights full of lights, and her hands free to grab all the riches the city could offer. And so, a dangerous idea started to grow inside her heart. Desmond was the kind of man every young girl's parents warned them about. He dressed sharp, carried wads of cash, and always drove around in borrowed flashy cars. His smooth tongue could convince anyone he was a successful businessman, but the truth was darker. He was neck-deep in cult activities, drug trafficking, and shady deals. Stephanie knew all this, but she didn't care. All she saw was the money, the nightlife, and the excitement. One rainy evening, while thunder rolled outside, Desmond leaned back on the couch in Stephanie's apartment. A glass of whiskey in his hand, he watched her pace around angrily. The twins had been crying all day, and Stephanie looked worn out and frustrated. "These boys will kill me one day," she hissed, tying her hair roughly. "I can't live like this anymore. I'm not meant to be a mother. I'm meant to shine." Desmond smirked, swirling his drink. "Then stop complaining. You know what you should do. Get rid of them. Do you want to keep suffering like this? Look at you. No club, no big man calling you. Nothing. 2 crying babies have finished your shine." Stephanie froze. The way he said it made her heart beat faster. She had thought of it before, but never had the courage. "I can't just throw them away," she whispered, though her voice trembled. Desmond leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Who says you can't? Do it quietly. No one will know. Babe, if you do this, I promise you, money will flow. I'll give you a bag of dollars and even a new car. Think about it." Stephanie's eyes lit up at the mention of dollars. Her mind swirled with images of living free again. That night, as the rain continued pouring and lightning lit up the city, Stephanie's heart hardened. For the first time, she looked at her children not with guilt, but with a deadly decision forming. The night came heavy with thunder and strong winds. Rain beat against rooftops, flooding gutters and emptying the streets. Stephanie wrapped the twins in old clothes, her hands trembling as she tied them with a faded shawl. The boys cried, their tiny voices swallowed by the storm, but she didn't stop. Her heart pounded as she carried them out of the house. Desmond was nowhere around. He had given her the plan, but left her to carry it out alone. She walked quickly, her slippers splashing through muddy water, until she reached an uncompleted building at the edge of the street. The skeleton of concrete walls stood in darkness, the perfect place to abandon a secret. Stephanie stepped inside, the shadows of broken blocks around her. She laid the babies down on the cold cement floor. Their cries echoed, piercing her ears. She covered them with the shawl and stepped back. For a moment, her chest tightened, and guilt clawed at her. "Am I really doing this?" she muttered. But then she remembered Desmond's promise. The bag of dollars, the new car, the life of freedom. With a bitter smile, she whispered, "Goodbye," and turned away. Outside, the rain washed over her as if the heavens themselves were weeping. She walked back home quickly, forcing herself not to look back. By the time she stepped into her apartment, she was smiling. She poured herself a drink, posted a new picture online with the caption, "Living my best life," and waited for Desmond to bring her reward. But what she didn't know was that Destiny had already seen her actions, and Destiny was not sleeping. While the storm raged, two young men hurried through the dark streets. They were known as Django and Bullet, small-time thugs who worked for a ritual gang. Their eyes caught the bundle of cloth inside the uncompleted building, and curiosity drew them closer. "Now wouldn't be this," Django muttered, bending down. He uncovered the bundle, and the twins' little faces appeared. The babies cried louder, their tiny fists waving in the air. Bullet's eyes widened with greed. "Guy! Chief, go pay millions for these two. Twins day rare." Oh, they lifted the babies quickly and carried them to their car. But the moment they stepped outside, strange things began to happen. Django suddenly screamed, clutching his eyes. "I know they see! I know they see!" His vision had gone dark. Bullet dropped one baby in shock, coughing violently as though choking on invisible hands. His throat burned and he staggered. The crying babies grew louder, and the storm seemed to answer with louder thunder. When Django's sight returned, he was shaking with fear. Their car engine refused to start, no matter how many times Bullet turned the key. "Guy, this thing no pure," Django whispered, sweat mixing with rain on his face. "These babies get spirit way strong past us." Terrified, they dropped the twins on the roadside, shouting curses as they ran into the night. The storm carried them away, but the twins remained, tiny lives in the middle of darkness, marked by something no human could explain. And so, what was meant to be their end became the beginning of a mysterious journey. By morning, news had already reached Chief Akweme. He was a man of power and fear, his name whispered in markets and shrines. Known for sacrificing children to renew his strength, his compound was a fortress of wealth, mystery, and blood. When his servants heard about the abandoned twins, they quickly brought them to him. The chief sat on a golden chair, cowries and charms spread around him. His eyes, sharp and red, scanned the babies as they cried softly in the servants' arms. "Perfect," one servant said eagerly. "Two for the sacrifice. Our master will grow stronger." But Chief Akweme raised his hand. He studied the twins longer, his breathing heavy. Suddenly he shook his head. "No, these ones are different." The room went silent. "They are marked," he continued, his voice low and deep. "The spirits have chosen them for greatness. If I touch them wrongly, it will destroy me." The servants exchanged fearful glances. "Keep them alive," Chief ordered, "but hide them well. The appointed time will reveal their purpose. To carry out this command, Chief called a poor widow who sold food by the roadside, Madame Ifeoma. He paid her little, instructing her to care for the boys in secret. But what Chief did not know was that Madame Ifeoma's heart was full of love, not fear. She held the twins close, whispering, From today you are mine. Obina and Somto, that will be your names. I may be poor, but I will give you all the love I have." That night in her tiny house with a leaking roof, Madame Ephéoma rocked them to sleep. For the first time since their birth, the twins felt the warmth of a real mother's arms. Destiny had turned. Life in Madame Ephéoma's house was far from easy. She lived in a small mud brick room with a leaking zinc roof and a wooden bed that creaked with every movement. Her income came from selling akara, pap, and roasted yam at a roadside stall. Most nights she went to bed hungry, but she never allowed Obina and Somto to sleep without food. Though the chief paid her little for the children's upkeep, she treated them as her own blood. She sang lullabies when they cried, carried them on her back to the market, and prayed over them every night. "God bless my sons," she would whisper, "make them grow strong. Let their future shine brighter than mine." As the twins grew older, neighbors noticed something different about them. They were cheerful, healthy, and unusually smart. Even when Ephéoma had nothing, the boys seemed content. She taught them to sweep, fetch water, and help at her stall. By the time they were 7, they could roast yam perfectly and count money better than many adults. One evening, as they sat outside eating roasted plantain, Obina turned to Somto and said, "Mama's poor, but she loves us more than anything." Somto nodded in agreement. To them, Madame Ephéoma was not just a caretaker, she was their true mother. But far away, Stephanie was losing her grip on the fast life. Her story was about to take a sharp turn. While Ephéoma's home glowed with love, Stephanie's world crumbled. Desmond, the man she had trusted, betrayed her completely. One morning she woke to find him gone, along with her clothes, her jewelry, and even the small savings she had kept hidden. The bag of dollars he had given her turned out to be filled with ordinary paper cut into pieces. Stephanie's glamorous friends soon abandoned her. No one wanted to associate with a broke city babe. Her landlord threw her out for unpaid rent, and the expensive wigs and dresses she once flaunted were now pawned at secondhand shops. She found herself begging on the streets of Port Harcourt, surviving on leftover food. The once proud Stephanie now sat by the roadside with dust on her face, watching the same flashy cars pass by. The same life she once lived, now out of reach. At night, she lay on cardboard sheets under shop shed, her heart heavy with regret. She often thought of Desmond, cursing him for ruining her life. But deep inside, another thought haunted her. Those twins she had abandoned. Had they died? Or were they still out there? It was a question she didn't want to answer, until destiny forced her to. One hot afternoon, Stephanie wandered the streets in search of food. Her stomach growled as she passed Madame Ephéoma's kiosk. The smell of roasted yam and pepper sauce filled the air, and her mouth watered. She dragged her tired legs closer, hoping to beg. There behind the stall stood 2 tall, handsome teenage boys, serving customers with cheerful smiles. They moved quickly, laughing and joking as they worked. Something about them made Stephanie stop in her tracks. Their faces, their eyes, their mannerisms. She knew them. Her heart skipped a beat. "My children," she whispered, trembling. "Those are my children." Tears welled up as she stumbled forward. "Obina! Somto! My sons!" she cried, stretching her arms. The boys looked at her in confusion. "Who are you, madam?" Obina asked politely. "I am your mother," she shouted. "Don't you recognize me? I gave birth to you." But the boys exchanged a glance and stepped back. "You are not our mother," Somto said firmly. "Our mother is Madame Ephéoma." The words hit Stephanie like a spear. She collapsed to the ground, sobbing. Customers stared and Ephéoma rushed out, pulling the boys protectively behind her. Stephanie wept, but as the tears dried, a dangerous fire began to burn in her eyes. Stephanie left the kiosk that day broken, but not defeated. She wandered the streets, muttering to herself, "They are mine. My blood. No woman can take them from me." Her thoughts grew darker as hunger and anger mixed inside her. She remembered Desmond's betrayal, her fall from grace, and the humiliation she suffered. The only thing that could give her back a sense of worth was reclaiming her twins. Late at night, she returned to the kiosk, watching from the shadows as Madame Ephéoma closed shop. She saw the boys carrying stools inside, laughing with their foster mother. Stephanie clenched her fists. They don't even know who gave them life, she whispered bitterly. But I will remind them. If Faoma thinks she can steal my children, never. I will get them back, even if I have to fight for them. From that day, Stephanie's obsession grew. She followed them secretly, asking questions about the widow who had raised them. Each answer fueled her envy and rage. But fate was already moving in another direction, toward an unexpected helper who was about to change everything for Madame Faoma and the boys. One evening, Madame Faoma collapsed at her stall. She had worked all day under the hot sun, serving food without eating herself. The twins rushed to her side, crying, "Mama! Mama, wake up!" Just then, a black SUV stopped nearby. Out stepped Mr. Uday, a wealthy businessman known for his generosity. He often passed the roadside stall and admired the hard-working widow who never stopped smiling, no matter how tough life seemed. Seeing her collapse, he quickly helped. "Take her to my car," he ordered. He drove straight to the hospital, paying her bills in full. For days he visited, ensuring she received proper care. The twins, shocked and grateful, stayed by Ifeoma's bedside. Mr. Uday looked at them and smiled. "Your mother is a good woman. From today I will support you. I will pay your school fees, give you scholarships, and help you build a better future." Obina and Somto bowed, tears in their eyes. "Thank you, sir," they said together. But while kindness was lifting them higher, Stephanie watched from the shadows, her jealousy burning hotter than ever. She clenched her teeth and swore, "I will not rest until those boys are mine again." The storm was far from over. Stephanie could no longer sit back. Every night she dreamed of Obina and Somto calling her mother. Every day she watched Madame Ifeoma being praised as a loving mother. It was like fire burning inside her. One evening she returned boldly to the kiosk. Her clothes were torn, her face lean, but her voice rang with pride. "Ifeoma," she shouted, startling the customers. "You are keeping what is mine. Those boys are my children. Give them back to me." The crowd gasped. The twins froze, confusion filling their young faces. Madame Ifeoma came out, her wrapper tied firmly, her eyes calm but sharp. "Stephanie," she said softly, "these children you abandoned in the cold, crying for help. Did you forget? You left them to die and I picked them up. They are mine now." Stephanie's voice rose with anger. "You thief! Do you think feeding them roasted yam makes you their mother? Blood is blood. I will take them, even if it kills me." The crowd murmured in shock. Some sided with Ifeoma, praising her sacrifice. Others whispered about Stephanie's cruelty. The twins clung to Ifeoma's wrapper, their young voices trembling. "Mama, don't let her take us." Stephanie's eyes burned with rage, but she saw that day was not the time. She stormed off, shouting, "This is not over. I will get my sons back." But she did not know that forces greater than her were already at work. Far away in his mansion surrounded by charms and shrines, Chief Ekwim heard of Stephanie's attempt to reclaim the twins. He smiled darkly. The old man had never forgotten the boys he once spared. "The appointed time is near," he muttered, his voice like thunder. "Those boys carry a mark no one can erase. The woman who abandoned them has returned, but she is nothing compared to what destiny has written." He sent his servants to watch secretly, making sure no harm befell Obina and Somto. Though he had once been a man of blood sacrifices, something about the twins had changed him. They were no longer children to kill, but keys to something greater, though he could not yet understand what. Meanwhile, Stephanie sought out old friends for help. Some laughed at her, others warned her. But one man whispered, "If you want to fight Ifeoma, go to court. Or, you can use darker ways." Stephanie thought about it, torn between desperation and fear. As she plotted, Madame Ifeoma prayed harder. Every night she knelt by her bed with the boys, calling on God to protect them. She knew danger was coming, but her faith was stronger than her fear. And then came the trial of fire. Madame Ifeoma's health grew weaker. The long years of stress and hunger had taken their toll. Though Mr. Uday paid her bills, the doctor warned she needed rest and proper care. One evening, while the twins sat by her hospital bed, Stephanie arrived with boldness. Her face was painted with false tears. "My sons," she said softly, stepping closer. "I am your real mother. Look at me. I carried you in my womb. This woman, though kind, is not your blood. Come with me and I will give you a better life." Obina shook his head firmly. "You left us to die. Mama Ifeoma saved us." Somto's voice trembled. "We don't know you. Our mother is here." He pointed to Ifeoma on the bed. Stephanie's heart shattered, but her anger doubled. She turned to Ifeoma, spitting out, "You bewitched them against me. But wait, I will return. When I do, nothing will stop me." As she stormed out, Mr. Udi entered. He placed his hand on Ifeoma's shoulder and said, "Don't worry. As long as I live, no one will take these boys from you." But Stephanie was not finished. Her next move would shake everyone to the core. Stephanie went to the law claiming custody of the twins. Papers were filed, and soon the case reached the community's ears. People gathered in the court, eager to witness the drama. On one side stood Stephanie, dressed in borrowed clothes but speaking with pride. "They are my blood," she argued. "No matter what happened in the past, a mother is still a mother." On the other side stood Madame Ifeoma, weak but firm. Her voice shook as she spoke. "Blood alone does not make a mother. Love does. Care does. I did not carry them in my womb, but I carried them on my back when no one else would. I gave them life when their own mother threw them away." The court listened, torn between law and compassion. The twins were called to speak. Obina's words silenced the room. "A mother is the one who stayed when we cried, not the one who left us in the rain." Somto added with tears in his eyes, "We have only one mother. Her name is Ifeoma." The crowd erupted in support. Even the judge was moved. He declared that the twins would remain with Madame Ifeoma under Mr. Uda's guardianship. Stephanie collapsed in shock, screaming. She had lost them again. Time passed and the storm began to settle. Under Mr. Uda's care, Obina and Somto received scholarships to the best schools. Their brilliance shone, and they became a source of pride for the community. Madame Ifeoma recovered slowly, her health improving with better care. She smiled often now, watching her sons grow into young men. Stephanie, however, wandered in bitterness. Some nights she wept, other nights she cursed. But deep inside she knew the truth. The bond she broke could never be mended. One evening, as the sun set over Port Harcourt, the twins stood by Ifeoma's stall, now rebuilt and expanded by Mr. Uda's support. Customers filled the place, laughter filled the air, and Madame Ifeoma sat proudly watching. Obina looked at Somto and whispered, "Mama was right. Destiny always finds its way." Somto smiled. "Yes, and no one can fight what God has chosen far away." Chief Ikwemi watched from the shadows, nodding slowly. "The appointed time has begun," he muttered. "These boys are marked for greatness. The world has not seen anything yet." And so the story closed not with tragedy, but with hope. Two boys saved by love, a widow lifted by kindness, and a mother who learned too late that destiny cannot be cheated. The journey of Obina and Somto had only just begun,